Have you ever stopped to think about the exact moment your life changed forever? Not a slow change, like the seasons. A before and an after, defined in a single second. My name is Evelyn. I am 70 years old, and I have lived in this house in Boston for 50 years. People who see me on the street think they know who I am. A widow. A respectable old lady. They have no idea, do they? No one ever does. I'm holding this photograph. It's me, at 20. Beside me, the man I was to marry, Michael Thompson. And on the other side, my best friend, Sarah, my maid of honor. I look at this 20-year-old girl and I want to scream. I want to shake her and say, "Stop smiling, run!" But she couldn't hear me. Let me ask you something. What would you do? What would you do if 12 hours before walking down the aisle, you found the love of your life in bed with your soulmate, your best friend? Would you cry? Scream? Fall apart? I did none of those things. Let's go back to that night. June 14th, 1975, Charleston. The air was so hot and humid you could chew it. The smell of jasmine was everywhere. We were at the rehearsal dinner party in my parents' garden. The party was perfect. My dress was perfect. Michael was, well, he was Michael, the Prince of Charleston. You know the type? The man who walks into a room and all the lights seem to follow him? That was my fiancé. At some point, he disappeared. And soon after, Sarah disappeared. I'm not a fool, but I was naive. I thought it was wedding stress. I went inside the house, up the stairs, just to breathe for a minute, away from all those fake smiles from relatives. And that's when I heard it. A laugh. Her laugh. The laugh I had known since kindergarten. It was coming from the guest room. Have you ever felt that cold pit in your stomach? That moment when your brain knows the truth, but your heart is desperately fighting against it? The smell hit me first. Whiskey. What Michael drank. And gardenias. The perfume Sarah wore. The door was ajar. I didn't have to look. I could have turned around. I could have gone back to the party and lived in ignorance for how long? Another day? Another year? I won't spare you the details. Why should I? They didn't spare me. He was there, my fiancé, naked, and she, my best friend, my maid of honor, was riding him like he was the last man on earth. Her baby blue dress was crumpled on the floor. Time stopped. Michael froze. Panic. Guilt. But Sarah, Sarah. She looked at me over her shoulder, and she didn't look guilty. For a second, before the horror took over her face, she looked victorious, as if to say, I won. In that moment, love didn't die. It was murdered, and in its place, something else was born, something cold, hard, and made of steel. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just took a step back, closed the door quietly, and went downstairs. I walked past my mother, who was smiling and talking about the flowers for the ceremony. I went out the front door, past the party lights, and started walking down the dark street, barefoot. I had 12 hours until the wedding. They thought they had destroyed me. They thought little Evelyn would go hide and cry. I wasn't going to cancel the wedding. Oh no, I was going to show up at that altar. But the man waiting for me there wouldn't be Michael. They wanted a scandal? I would give them a legend. What do you think of this approach? Is it more interactive and familiar, as you asked? I ran. I don't know for how long. I ran until the sound of the party's jazz band was swallowed by the song of the cicadas and the distant noise of the Charleston harbor. My bare feet, which minutes before were dancing on my father's manicured lawn, were now being cut by the gravel and old asphalt of the side streets. I wasn't crying. That's the strangest part. The tears seemed to have frozen, turned into something sharp and hard inside my chest. It was fury. A fury so pure and cold that it kept me standing, propelled me forward. The smell of jasmine, which I had always associated with happiness, now made me nauseous. The humid South Carolina air clung to my skin. I passed the old bakery where Michael and I used to share an eclair on Saturdays. I passed the library, where I used to meet Sarah to study. Every corner was a betrayal, every memory a lie. They hadn't just destroyed my future, they had stolen my past. They had taken every happy moment we three had shared and set it on fire. I finally stopped at the Battery, the seawall facing the ocean. The smell of salt and marsh filled my lungs. I sat on one of the wrought iron benches, looking into the darkness of the ocean. The moon was nearly full, illuminating the water. The party. Were they still there? Was my mother wondering where I was? Or had Michael and Sarah already returned, fixed their clothes, wiped off the sweat, and were laughing at me behind my back? The humiliation hit me like a physical wave. The wedding. I looked at the church clock in the distance. 11 hours. The entire city would be there. 200 guests. The banker's daughter marrying the lawyer's son. The event of the year. I imagined what they expected me to do. Call my mother, crying. Cancel everything. Hide in my room for 6 months while the whole city whispered about poor Evelyn. Michael would win. He'd keep his reputation intact, maybe even look like the victim of a hysterical bride. And Sarah would have won. No, I whispered to the dark water. I will not be poor Evelyn. You certainly don't look poor, Evelyn. The voice made me jump. From the shadow of the large oak trees, a man emerged. For a second, my heart failed, thinking it was Michael. But this man was taller, broader, and moved with a silence Michael never possessed. It was Ethan Thompson, the older brother. Ethan was the family's shadow, while Michael was the sun, bright, warm, and dangerously popular. Ethan was the moon, quiet, observant, and frankly, a little frightening. He managed the accounting branch of his father's law firm in another city and rarely came to Charleston. He was only here as the reluctant best man. He wasn't in a suit like at the party. He wore twill pants and a wrinkled linen shirt. He was holding his car keys. "What are you doing here?" My voice came out harsh. "I can't stand parties," he said simply, stopping at a respectful distance. "Especially my family's. I was going for a drive. Then I saw you running. You look bad." I laughed, a dry, ugly sound. Bad? That's a good word. "Your brother, Ethan, the man you're supposed to be best man for tomorrow, is currently in bed with my maid of honor at my parents' house during the rehearsal dinner." I said it expecting shock, expecting horror, expecting a defense of his brother. Ethan did none of those things. He just closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, there was an exhaustion in them that seemed 1,000 years old. "He finally did it," he said, more to himself than to me. "I warned my father he would." He looked at me, not with pity, with recognition. "You're bleeding." I looked down. My feet were cut from the gravel. I hadn't even noticed. "I'll take you home," he said. "I don't have a home," I answered, the venom returning. He and Sarah took it from me. They took everything. The fury began to tremble, and the tears threatened to return. I forced them down. I won't let them win. I won't give them the satisfaction of a canceled wedding. I will not be the joke of Charleston. Ethan watched me, the engine of a passing car rumbling in the distance. The silence stretched. "So what are you going to do?" he asked. His voice was low, practical. "I don't know," I yelled. "What can I do? The church is booked. The bishop is waiting. 200 people are coming to watch Evelyn Hayes be humiliated." Ethan took a step forward into the moonlight. He was 25, but he looked much older. He was the opposite of Michael. Dark hair, serious eyes, a strong jaw. He wasn't handsome like Michael. He was solid, like a rock. "The wedding can still happen," he said. I stopped breathing. What did you say?" "The church is booked," he repeated, as if solving a math problem. "The guests are coming. The party is paid for. The name on the marriage license is Thompson." I shook my head, confused. "I'm not marrying that monster." "No," said Ethan, his eyes fixed on mine, unblinking. "Marry me. If this story has touched you so far, like subscribe and turn on notifications, you won't want to miss how this ends." I stared at him. I genuinely thought he had gone insane, or that I had. "You're kidding." "I never kid, Evelyn. You know that." And it was true. Ethan Thompson didn't know how to tell a joke. "Why?" My voice was a whisper. "Why on earth would you do that? You don't even like me." "Liking you has nothing to do with it," he said sharply. "Though I don't dislike you, for the record. I respect you. You're the only person in this town who actually works, instead of just living off trust funds." He continued, "My brother is a pit of shame. He's been embarrassing our family name for years. This is the last straw." My father protects him. But this is public. This destroys our law firm's reputation. It destroys everything. He looked at the ocean. And, selfishly, I'm tired of watching him win. I'm tired of being the responsible older brother who cleans up the mess while he gets the glory. He doesn't deserve you. He doesn't deserve the party tomorrow. And he certainly doesn't deserve a cent of my father's inheritance if he does this. The logic was cold. It was brutal. And in my state of mind, it made terrifying sense. You're proposing a business marriage? I asked. I'm proposing a solution, said Ethan. We both have a problem. My problem is a reckless brother who is destroying my family's legacy. Your problem is a cheating fiancé and imminent public humiliation. If we get married, we solve both. He stared at me. Think about it, Evelyn. Think of his face. Think of her face. When you walk into that church, as beautiful as you planned, and walk right past him, and stop at the altar where I'll be waiting. The image exploded in my mind. The confusion, the horror. The moment Michael and Sarah would realize what was happening. The absolute humiliation. It wouldn't be my humiliation. It would be theirs. It would be the most perfect public revenge ever executed. It's crazy, I said. But my heart was pounding now, not with pain, but with adrenaline. It is, he agreed. It's completely insane. But I ask again, are you going to let them win? I looked at my bloody feet. I looked at the solid, serious man in front of me, who was offering me not love, not passion, but a weapon. I stood up. I faced him. I have one condition, I said. What? We never tell anyone this was a pact. To the world, we fell in love. To the world, you saved me from him. And we never, ever look back. Ethan nodded once. Done. He held out his hand. Not for a kiss, not for an embrace. A handshake. We have a lot to do before 10 in the morning, he said. First, we need a friendly judge to alter the license. Then, we need to clean those feet. And Evelyn, you need some whiskey. The good stuff, not the trash my brother drinks. I shook his hand. His skin was rough, strong. That night, on the bench facing the sea, Evelyn Hayes, the heartbroken bride, died, and Mrs. Ethan Thompson was born. This part established the logic behind the most illogical decision. Vengeance is the engine, and Ethan's cold logic is the vehicle. The night of June 14th, 1975, didn't end. It just bled into the 15th. We didn't sleep. How could we? After our handshake at the Battery, Ethan acted with a military efficiency that was both terrifying and deeply comforting. He wasn't a passionate groom. He was a crisis manager. First, my feet. He drove me to a 24-hour pharmacy and, in the front seat of his car under the sickly light of the parking lot, he cleaned the cuts himself with antiseptic. The sting was sharp, but it kept me focused. You can't limp down the aisle, he said, practical as ever, wrapping gauze. Second, the law. At 3 a.m., we were on Judge Wallace's mahogany porch, the oldest partner at the Thompson law firm. The judge received us in his bathrobe, sleepy eyes widening as Ethan, in a low, firm voice, explained the situation. He didn't use words like betrayal or bed. He used phrases like catastrophic indiscretion, reputational risk, and contingency solution. The judge looked at me, at my bandaged feet and wild eyes. He looked at Ethan. He sighed, took his pen, and stamped the alteration on the marriage license. Michael Thompson was crossed out. Ethan Thompson was written in. God help us, the judge muttered. Third, the safe house. Ethan didn't take me back to my parents' house. That place is a war zone, he said. He took me to the Mills House Hotel downtown and checked us into 2 separate rooms. No one will think to look for you here, he said. Sleep, if you can. I'll send for your things. I didn't sleep. I sat at the hotel window, watching the Charleston sky turn from black to purple, and from purple to a sickly gray. The reality of what I was about to do hit me. I was going to marry a man I barely knew, a man I had never kissed. I was using the most important day of my life as a hand grenade. The fear began to creep in, icy and real. What if I couldn't go through with it? What if I fainted? At 7 a.m., there was a knock on my door. It was Ethan. He didn't look tired. He looked energized. The team is here, he said. Two women, the hairdresser and makeup artist my mother had hired, entered the room, eyes wide with confusion. "Evelyn, honey, your mother is beside herself. Why are we here?" Ethan intercepted. "Change of plans, ladies. A romantic surprise. Please, prepare the bride. You will be generously compensated for your discretion." He handed each of them an envelope of cash. They stopped asking questions. Then the process began. I sat in that hotel chair as they worked. The smell of hairspray and rice powder filled the air. They chattered about the weather, about the dress, about what a lucky man Michael was. With every mention of his name, I felt my insides tighten. I just smiled, a movement of my lips that didn't reach my eyes. I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back was a stranger, pale, with dark circles the makeup artist struggled to hide, and eyes that looked like they had seen a war. They turned me into a bride, but I felt like a porcelain doll with a time bomb inside her. Then, the dress arrived. Ethan had arranged for someone to fetch it from my parents' house. When I saw it hanging on the door, my stomach turned. It was beautiful. Chantilly lace, a long train, a dress bought for a love that now seemed like a sick joke. The room phone rang. My heart leaped into my throat. Ethan answered it in the next room. I heard his low, controlled voice. Moments later, he knocked on my door. I was half-dressed. "That was your mother," he said, his face impassive. "They know you're gone. Michael is at your house, pretending to be worried. Apparently, he and Sarah returned to the party last night, about an hour after you left, and asked for you." They went back?" I asked, incredulous. "The audacity. They're trying to control the narrative," Ethan said. "Pretend you're the unstable bride who ran off." That lit the fire again. The fear evaporated, replaced by the cold fury from the night before. "They won't," I said. "Good," he said. "Your father is on his way here. I called him." "You... what?" "He's not going to let you walk into the church with a stranger, Evelyn. He needs to know, not the details, just the plan." My father, John Hayes, was a banker, a man who understood numbers and contracts, not emotions. When he entered the hotel room 30 minutes later, his face was gray with panic. "Evelyn, thank God! What is going on? Where have you been? Michael is..." "I'm not marrying Michael, Daddy," I interrupted, my voice sounding firmer than I felt. My father froze. What are you saying?" "The bishop, 200 guests." "She's marrying me," said Ethan, stepping out of the adjoining room, already dressed in his best man's tuxedo, now his groom's. My father looked from me to Ethan, his banker's mind trying to process the equation. "Is this a shakedown? What is going on here? Ask your future son-in-law, Michael, what he was doing in your guest room with Sarah Miller last night," Ethan said, his voice cutting. My father's face went from panic to fury, and finally, to a grim understanding. He didn't need details. He understood the breach of contract. He understood the dishonor. "And you," my father said, looking at me, "you're doing this for revenge?" I met his gaze in the mirror, the dress now fully buttoned. "I'm doing this to protect our family's name, and mine." My father looked at Ethan. He saw the same steel that was in himself. He saw a man who fixed problems, not one who created them. He took a deep breath, straightened his tie. "It's one hell of a merger of assets, Thompson, but it saves both houses from bankruptcy." He nodded. "All right, let's go to the church." The elevator ride down was the longest silence of my life. Me, my father, and my future husband. No one spoke. The limousine was waiting. The same limousine that was supposed to take me to Michael. As I got in, the driver looked at me, confused, but my father just said, "To the church, James." The 10-minute drive felt like 10 years. I could smell the whiskey on Ethan's skin, the hairspray in my hair, the fear from my father. The car stopped. I could hear the organ music from inside, the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, packed. Ethan got out first. He didn't look at me. He just said, "I'll be inside. I'll be waiting at the altar, not in the best man spot, in the groom's spot." He turned and walked into a side door of the church. My father opened my door. The morning sun was hot. I stepped out, and there they were, on the front steps, looking confused, guilty, and anxious. Michael and Sarah. He, in his groom's tuxedo, running his hands through his hair. She, in her baby blue bridesmaid dress, biting her nails. They saw me. Relief flooded Michael's face. He started walking toward me, that fake, winning smile on his face. "Evelyn, my God, you scared me to death. Where were you?" I didn't stop. I looked right through him. I held my father's arm tighter. The organ music swelled. The church doors opened. "Daddy," I whispered. "I'm here, child," he said. "Tell me not to do this." "I can't," he replied. "It's your war." I pulled the veil over my face. The white silk blurred my vision of Michael, who had stopped, confused, just a few feet away. I took the first step into the church. The organ music was deafening. It was Wagner's Bridal Chorus, the same one I had chosen with Michael and my mother months before. What a sick irony. The veil blurred my vision, turning the 200 guests into smudges of pastel colors and dark suits. It was like walking underwater. I could feel the stares. I could feel the confusion. The air in the cathedral was heavy with the smell of lilies, incense, and the dust of century-old pews. I focused on three things: the steel grip of my father's arm in mine, the sound of my satin heels clicking on the marble floor, and the command I repeated in my head: "Don't stop, don't look, don't fall." The walk down the aisle felt like an eternity. The first thing I noticed wasn't a sound. It was the lack of one. The whispers stopped. The clearing of throats and coughing ceased. It was as if 200 people had collectively held their breath at the exact same second. They were expecting Michael. They were seeing my father. But the man beside the bishop was not Michael. I kept my eyes fixed forward. At the altar, I saw Sarah. She was in her maid of honor spot, pale as a ghost. Her eyes met mine through the veil, and I saw the exact moment the puzzle formed in her mind. She looked at the spot where Michael should have been, and then she looked at Ethan, who stood there, motionless as a granite statue, looking directly at me. Sarah's mouth fell open, a small O of horror. She knew. Then behind me, I heard the side door of the church slam. Heavy footsteps running down the side aisle. "Evelyn!" It was Michael's voice. I stopped. My father stopped. The organ music faltered, the musician clearly in a panic. "Evelyn, what the hell is going on? Stop this! What is he doing there?" Michael was panting, his face red with fury and confusion. He had run from the front door, around the church, and was now standing in the aisle, a few feet from us, blocking our path. The silence in the church was absolute, agonizing. My father, John Hayes, the banker, turned slowly to his former future son-in-law. He didn't yell. He used his boardroom voice, the one that froze subordinates. "Michael, sit down. You are a guest, not the groom. Get out of my daughter's way." The authority in my father's voice hit him like a slap. Michael staggered back, his mouth opening and closing, soundless. He looked at Ethan, incredulous. He looked at me. I did not look at him. I turned to my father. "Keep walking, Daddy." We continued. We walked past Michael, who stood there, humiliated in front of the entire Charleston elite. We reached the altar. My father stopped me, lifted my veil. His eyes were sad but firm. He kissed my forehead. "Be strong," he whispered. He then shook Ethan's hand. It wasn't a gesture of affection. It was the sealing of a contract. "Take care of her, Thompson." "I will, Mr. Hayes," Ethan replied. My father sat in the front row, next to my mother, who was white as wax, holding a handkerchief to her mouth, clearly having been informed by my father in the last few seconds, and now in a state of shock. I turned to Ethan. Up close, he looked exhausted but determined. There was a faint smell of whiskey and mint on him. He had prepared. His dark eyes met mine. There was no love there. There was respect. There was a pact. He held out his hand. I took it. His hand was warm and steady. Mine was ice cold. The bishop, who owed his position in part to the Thompson family's generosity, cleared his throat. He looked like he had aged 10 years. "Dearly, dearly beloved," he began, his voice trembling. "We are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Ethaniel Robert Thompson and Evelyn Grace Hayes." A collective gasp swept the church. Ethaniel, not even Michael. The wrong name, the wrong brother. In the front row, I could hear a sound, a choked sound. It was Sarah, crying. I forced myself not to look. I focused on the bishop. I focused on the script. The vows were a blur. I said, "I do," in a voice I barely recognized. It was clear, cold, and dead. Ethan said, "I do," with the same finality as a judge striking a gavel. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the bishop said, sounding desperate for it to be over. You may kiss the bride." The entire world stopped. This was the moment I hadn't planned for. The first touch. Ethan turned to me. He didn't smile. He leaned in slowly. I could see the grain of his skin, a small scar on his eyebrow I had never noticed. His lips touched mine. It was quick. It was dry. It was completely devoid of passion. It was the seal on a business deal. The smell of whiskey and mint was all I could register. And in that moment, I hated Michael. I hated Sarah. But for a second, I hated Ethan and myself even more for it. He pulled away. The organ music exploded, a joyful recessional tune that sounded like a battle cry. Ethan took my hand, placing it firmly in the crook of his arm. "Don't look to the side," he muttered, his first words to me as my husband. "Just walk. Look at the door." We turned. Silence. No one clapped. No one moved. 200 people stared at us with a mixture of horror, pity, and fascination. We started to walk, and then chaos erupted. "No!" Michael's scream echoed through the cathedral. "Evelyn! You can't do this! You're mine! You love me!" He lunged from the front row. Sarah tried to grab him, but he shoved her aside. He grabbed my free arm. "Evelyn, look at me! Tell him it's a mistake!" The veil, still back, fell over my face again with the rough movement. I froze. Ethan didn't freeze. He didn't let go of my other arm. He simply turned, and with his free hand, punched his own brother in the face. It wasn't a movie punch. It was a short, dry, ugly sound. The sound of bone hitting bone. Michael fell back, slamming into the front pew, his nose gushing blood all over his groom's tuxedo. Sarah screamed, a high-pitched sound of horror. Ethan didn't even look at him. He turned to me, adjusted my arm in his, and said in a deathly calm voice, "Let's go, wife." And we kept walking. We walked out of that church, past the shocked guests, leaving behind my bleeding ex-fiancé and my sobbing ex-best friend. We walked out into the bright Charleston sun, married. The war was over. The occupation was just beginning. The ceremony was executed. The act of revenge is complete, but the consequences are just beginning. There was no party, no reception. Outside the cathedral, Ethan didn't lead me to the waiting limousine. He guided me to his own car, a dark, practical sedan parked across the street. He opened the door for me, tossed our 2 small suitcases, which he had packed, into the back, and got into the driver's seat. As he started the engine, I looked in the rearview mirror. Michael was being helped up, his nose bleeding onto his tuxedo collar. Sarah was beside him, her face a mask of hysteria and tears. They didn't look like tragic lovers. They looked pathetic. 2 children who had broken the most expensive toy in the store and been caught. That was the last time I ever saw either of them in person. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice a thread. The smell of the lilies in my bouquet was suffocating me. "Away," Ethan replied, turning the car toward the highway. "North, to Boston." Our honeymoon was an 18-hour drive in silence. When we arrived in Boston, he took me to an apartment in Beacon Hill. This very apartment, which he already owned. It was furnished. It was clean, masculine, and cold. Our 2 small suitcases looked insignificant in the living room. That first night, he pointed to a room. "This is yours." He went to the other down the hall. And so, the occupation began. Do you expect me to tell you it was passion at first sight? That our kiss at the altar lit a secret flame? This isn't a fairy tale. This was an armistice. The first 10 years were quiet. Ethan went to his accounting office every morning at 7. I enrolled in college, studied art history. We dined together every night at 7. We talked about the weather, about politics, about the books we were reading. We never, not once, mentioned June 15th, 1975. It was the elephant in the room, an elephant the size of a cathedral. He was a kind but distant husband. He was respectful. He provided. But there was no warmth. We were two roommates trapped in a contract we had signed ourselves. Revenge, I discovered, is a meal you eat once. But life keeps demanding breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And ours was tasteless. And Michael and Sarah? The news from Charleston reached us, of course. My mother wrote me cautious letters. The scandal blew the city apart. Michael, disinherited by his father, as Ethan had predicted, took Sarah and moved to California. They tried to make it work. It lasted about a year, according to the gossip. Apparently, when the thrill of the betrayal wears off, there isn't much left. The last I heard, he was selling insurance somewhere in the Midwest. She married a dentist. They didn't get a happy ending. But for a long time, neither did I. The turning point came on our 10th wedding anniversary. Ethan came home with a bottle of wine. Very expensive wine. We ate dinner in silence, as always. Then he cleared his throat. 10 years, he said. Yes, I replied. He looked at me, and for the first time, I didn't see the crisis manager. I saw a 35-year-old man who looked just as tired as I felt. The contract is fulfilled, Evelyn, he said quietly. The humiliation has been avenged. Our families are stable. I release you from our agreement. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. I will give you enough to start over. You deserve something that didn't start with a punch. I looked at him. My heart, which I thought had died 10 years earlier, gave a painful lurch. Leave. I could. I could take my art history degree and go to New York, to London. I could be poor Evelyn again, finally free. I thought about it. I thought about a life with laughter, with passion, with a man who would kiss me like he meant it. Then I looked around the cold apartment. I looked at the quiet, solid man across from me. The man who, in 10 years, had never raised his voice to me. The man who cleaned my bloody feet in a pharmacy parking lot. The man who gave me cover, who endured the whispers just as much as I did, who gave me space and time, never asking for anything in return. I realized the hatred for Michael and Sarah had faded years ago. I couldn't even remember their faces clearly anymore. But the man in front of me, he was real. And you, Ethan? I asked, my voice low. Do you want me to go? He looked at his wine glass for a long time. I've found, he said, almost in a whisper, that I've grown very accustomed to your silence. Me too, I answered. I'm accustomed to yours. He looked up. Evelyn, what if we try this time, for real? No revenge, no contracts, just us? That night, I didn't go to my room. We had 40 more years after that night. Ethan passed away 2 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. I held his hand until the end. The same rough, strong hand I held at the altar. You started by asking me about the day my life changed. That day of betrayal. Yes, he betrayed me with my best friend. And yes, I married his brother the next day. Was it an act of revenge? Absolutely. Was it insane? Without a doubt. But was it the worst decision of my life? People look for a love that feels like lightning. I had that with Michael, and it burned me to the ground. What I built with Ethan wasn't lightning. It was building a stone house, brick by brick, in the middle of winter. It was hard. It was slow. It was often painfully quiet. But it was strong. It was real. And it was ours. That act of revenge didn't destroy my life. It freed me from the life I thought I wanted and gave me the life I needed. My name is Evelyn Thompson. And after all of it, I don't regret a thing. That was Evelyn's story. A life defined by a single day. And you? What would you have done in her place? Was the revenge worth it? Leave your honest opinion in the comments below and tell me what city you're watching from. If this story touched you, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. Explore more emotional videos we've already posted. And until next time.